What's up YouTube, Dal here from Zephyr War Games, bringing you our second of 3 Genesis Impact profiles. This time we are doing Magistus. Now, this profile is actually going to be a little bit different than the ones we previously do, because there's just so many different versions and alterations for the deck that I'm going to take you through my personal build here. But then I'll also show you a couple of different engines that you can swap in, swap out, depending on what you have and how you want to play it. On top of that, I'll also show you a couple of combos at the end and how each combo helps out the remaining engines that you can put in the deck. With that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell and subscribe so you do not miss out on anything. If you get this video up to at least 50 likes, it will unlock part 3, which will be, of course, the Evil Twins. Now, let's get into today's profile of Magistus. Now, this is the deck that I wanted to build the most out of Genesis Impact because it is spellcaster based, and not to mention that you've also got shared artwork. And what I really like is when there's a difference in like time periods, yet you always have cards that relate to other ones. So what I mean by that is we have triple Magister Vir Seldron, but the actual English name is the Relion, the Magisters of Vir. Now, I couldn't pick up all my ultras on these, which is why I've had to proxy these. I'm waiting for my other ultras to appear. But you've got basically Madam Vir from Witchcrafters, which is really, really nice. And then you've also got like a mini Alistar and a mini Master of Mighty Master as well from the Endymions. Anyway, Madam Vir is, if it is normal or special summoned, you get to add a Magister spell or trap from your deck to your hand. Now, we don't actually have a Magister trap yet, so that does, unless it's going to become the new Necros, that does foreshadow that there will eventually be a Magister trap. Then you can, alternatively as well, you can return one of your banished level 4 or lower spellcaster monsters to your graveyard. You can banish this card from the graveyard, then target one Magister monster you control, equip it with a Magister monster from your graveyard, except a level 4 monster. So for those of you who don't know, the idea behind the Magisters is they like to equip from the extra deck directly. So they like to equip, they have a Link monster, a Fusion monster, an XYZ and a Synchro, and basically they like to equip them. Those monsters gain additional effects when they are equipped monsters, and that allows you to search out pieces and move a little bit further forward. We've then got triple Magister Flame Zoro. Now, I believe this is actually called something else. I think it's like Zoro Magister of the Flame. Again, as this was the Ultra, it's the only one that I didn't pull any of. I have bought them, but I am waiting for them to turn up. These are a tuner. If you want to, you can play Halifibrax. But who would be that silly being so close to a ban list to play Halifibrax? I mean, come on. Anyway, this one is very important. So you can target one Magister monster you control, equip one Magister monster from your extra deck to it. If this card becomes equipped with a Magister monster, you can special summon one level 4 spellcaster monster from your hand or graveyard in defense position, except himself, but you negate its effects. Only use each effect once per turn. So you can see how this is important, as it gives you the recursion. And the idea is, I'm going to give you a little preview now. Artemis, which is the link one, which is why it's so important, is the one that you equip to any of the Magisters, and then it searches you out a Magister monster, which of course can search you out Crowley, which is obviously baby Alistar, and this will allow you to special summon it from the hand. So it gives you rank 4 plays, gives you level 8 synchro plays, gives you a lot of consistency to play around with. Then we play triple Endymion, the Magistus of Mastery. I was actually quite glad this was a rare. I thought this personally was the best one because this plus any spellcaster equals basically a toad and a shark. Spoiler. But the idea is this, is again, you target a Magister monster you control himself, equip it with a Magister monster from your extra deck, so you bring out Artemis, and then Artemis searches you out your Crowley. Then what you can do with the second effect of the Endymion is you send the Artemis to the graveyard and draw one card. And then of course the Crowley can then discard a spellcaster, special summon itself, and you've got the ability to make Shark Toad. So we then play, of course, double Crowley, the Magistus of Grimoires. So again, you can send one spellcaster monster from your hand or face up from the field to the graveyard, special summon this card from the hand. You can declare one attribute. This card becomes that attribute until the end of this turn. So this is where the combo gets you a Shark Toad. The idea is that you go Endymion, Master of Mastery, special summon out Crowley, or get Crowley to the board. Crowley becomes a water, overlay these two, Shark Toad, done. And then you've got to keep in mind that if you unlock the spell and everything else as well, you're then able to use the Zoro. Zoro can then use his effect to bring back Crowley or bring back Endymion. That will then give you the ability for a Synchro level 8, which gives you a Savage plus a Toad Shark. And then if you do play the other engines, like, spoiler, Mech Knights, Endymions, anything like that, you then extend even further. His second effect is while he's in the graveyard, you can type one Magister monster you control, equip it with one Magister monster from your graveyard, except a level 4 monster, and banish this card. So, this is where the engines start to change. Now, part of the engine that I'm playing is double Magician Souls, purely because it actually helps instigate the other engine that I play, which is, of course, Dogmatika. Now, the reason this does this is because not only are you equipping your extra deck monsters that you can then send to draw, but you're also being able to send a Maximus, and by sending Maximus, you have the effect of the XYZ Ninaru to add Maximus back to your hand, consistently giving you easy access to Dogmatika plays and making this deck very control-based. So, of course, with the Dogmatika engine, we do play triple Ecclesia, the one Philidius, and the one Maximus. Now, this is where I'm saying the engine deters. So, this engine overall, plus the 3 Nadir Servant, and the 1 Punishment, is like a 9-card engine. Now, if you want to go aggressive, and a massive shout out to Sean on this one, if you want to go aggressive, you can actually put the Mech Knight engine in. Now, the reason the Mech Knight engine is so good in this is because, just as you've seen through some of the Magister monsters, more so the Madame Veer can normal summon itself, get you a continuous spell or trap. You can activate the continuous spell or trap, turn the Madame Veer into a link monster. Straight away, that's giving you a column for your Mech Knight. And then from that play on, what you can do is you special summon down the Mech Knight. That can then be linked off into the Artemis, or you can bring back a Madame Veer or anything like that because of the spell she's just searched. That will then trigger Artemis. Artemis can then search you another Magister, which could be Crowley. And then what you're doing from there is you're using all your monsters to link climb higher, get into stuff like your Mech Knight and Morningstar. Mech Knight gets you World Legacy, and you can start protecting from there. You also have the Gearsu play, which gives you another ability as a starter. That can then give you your tokens, which then gives you into Ib, which then allows you to get the World Legacy trap, or can get you the World Legacy spell, depending on which route you want to go, and can help you climb up into Appaloosa if you want to go that defensive route. Another engine that a lot of people do play as well is the Shadow engine, purely because you can use and abuse Trick Clown. Trick Clown right now is a 1-card link too, because you normal summon Trick Clown, turn it into Artemis, bring back Trick Clown, and then you can link 2 into you can link 2 into pretty much any link 2 you want. So you can go Verte if you want to, but that's boring, so. And then for the hand traps, I've got double Ghost Ogre. This can be Ash, this can be Veiler, this can be whatever you like. Moving on to the spells, of course, we're playing triple Trice Magistus. This card is basically a double summon for the deck. Now, a lot of people do play the Invoked engine. I've personally decided to go away from the Invoked engine because for the Invoked engine to work well with this deck, you needed to open up Alistair and open this up. So the way this works is the first time each of your Magister monsters equipped with with an equipped card would be destroyed by battle. Each turn it is not destroyed. Only use each of the following effects once per turn. So during your main phase, you can special summon 1 level 4 spellcaster monster from your hand. You can send this face-up card to the graveyard to special summon any number of Magister monsters with different names from your hand. So it allows you to swarm, but the idea behind the Trice Magistus is purely the fact that you go normal summon Madame Veer, search this out, and then you have the ability to go Zoro plays and anything else from there. Now, the reason I don't like it with the Invoked one is it does mean that to get full the max potential out of this, you have to be able to go normal summon Alistair. Alistair does all of his effects because he only goes off on normal and flip. Then you activate the Trice Magistus. That then allows you to special summon one. This doesn't actually work really well. It doesn't work well by special summoning Alistair from hand because then it doesn't trigger effects. It doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't do anything. So unless you've opened up the invocation, it doesn't get you too far. But as we said, this can actually be sit into your spell and trap zones and unlock a column for your Mech Knights, which you'd ideally go purple. Purple would bounce out to get you like indigo or blue or anything like that. And again, you've got pros and cons to the Mech Knights in the sense that it gives you a much better aggressive play, but it does mean you have to go second, and that's obviously a big downside as well. For the rest of the Magister spells, we only play the 1 Invocation, the 1 Vertra, and the 1 Theurgy, sorry. So this one is basically a quick effect to target a Magister monster you control, equipped with a Magister monster, except a level 4 monster from your extra deck or graveyard or face up on the field. If you have at least 1 each Magister Fusion, XYZ, Synchro, and Link in your graveyard, you can use a non-Magister extra deck monster. Verta is you target a level 4 or lower Magister monster in your graveyard, special summon it. If a Magister monster, a Magister cards in your spell and trap card zone would be destroyed by your opponent's card effect. You banish it instead. And the invocation is basically fusion summon one fusion monster from your extra deck, using monsters from your hand or field as material, including spellcaster monster. If summoning a Magistus fusion monster, this way you can also use monsters in your spell and trap card zone that are equipped to a Magister monster. Now, again, they're all very kind of good, but they're very bricky. Like they're all searchable when you want them to be. The only one that I think is most important is the invocation, but then even then you want the invocation to be built up. Now, the invocation does produce you a disruption because their fusion monster is actually really, really good to kind of target and quick play mind control one of your opponent's monsters. So the ideal end board, but is very, very specific, is you end up on like a Toad, Shark, plus a Savage, plus the fusion monster. Now, it all still loses to Dark Ruler, no more Droplet, but again, it just gives you that additional line of protection as well. Then at current, this can probably be cut down to 2. We're playing triple spell power mastery, just to search you out your Mighty Master, because your Master of Endymion, as I said, pretty much gets everything going. It's a normal summon that then gets you the Artemis, and Artemis then gets you the Crowler, and then the Crowler can then bring itself down, and that's your Shark Toad from one specific card in Mastery or Endymion, and one Spellcaster card that can just be discarded. Not to mention that the Master of Endymion will, of course, get that draw by sending the Artemis as well. Then for additional draw power and recursion power, we do play double Desires and a single Avarice. Now, you burn through your deck quite quickly, and you do burn through your extra deck. And in this particular build, I burn through the extra deck a little bit quicker than usual, because the one thing that the Magister main deck doesn't have, unless you're playing the Dogmatikas, is a general boss monster. And even with your boss monster, you're looking at a Philidius becoming 3k. So it really doesn't have that killer instinct, which is why I've put a couple of other cards in the extra deck as well. If you do go for the Mech Knights, of course, the Mech Knights become powerhouses on their own. And the Avarice is just there to recycle more of your extra deck monsters than recycling anything else, really. And then it's just additional draw power as well. And then, of course, you've got Triple Nadir Servant, of course, part of the Dogmatika engine. And then for the traps, we've got Triple Infinite Impermanence, best hand trap in the game, technically. And then the one Punishment and the one Schism. Now, Schism's actually really cool because obviously with the Dogmatika engine, you're building up your board. You're going to end up like Savage Toad, and then the ability to go into a window, and it's like your opponent's going to struggle to deal with that. The Punishment is a little bit of a questionable one. This is kind of a card that you want to have set your board up, and you only want to activate it not in desperation, but you only want to activate it when you know it's going to make your opponent go, right, okay, I guess I need to pass my turn. But it's still incredibly powerful. Again, it can be cut if you're not feeling that route of the plays, but it is very powerful, just becoming a pop 2 or a pop and recycle. So you do have the ability, of course, to bring stuff back. The only issue with it is if your opponent does put a monster out that's 3k or more, of course you're not going to be able to use it, but you need to use it on a monster that is less than 3k so that you can then send an inst, and an inst can then get rid of the card that's causing you issues. Now, the extra deck I'm going to show you is a little bit thin. What I mean by that is it's a 14 card extra deck, but I'm going to show you a handful of cards that are variations, and I'll also show you a stack of cards that is going to, if you change into the Mech Knight version, what you'll be swapping the Dogmatika versions out for. Now, at current, I've only got 2 Artemis. I'm only playing 2 Artemis. If you don't want to play any of my tech cards that I'll show you at the end, then you can put a 3rd Artemis in here. But on this, it's both risky. It gives me the variety of the extra deck, but it is quite risky in the sense that Artemis is the one card that you're probably going to go through the most from your extra deck. So you do need the ability to recycle it. In the Mech Knight version, you're going to actually hard make it. In this version, you're just going to equip it to get the search. It's very rare that you're actually going to make it. We've then got the one Magister Ninaru. Again, I'm cutting down on a lot of my abilities, a lot of the cards on this. So Artemis is 1 level 4 or lower spellcaster monster. If another Magister monster is normal or special summoned while you control this card, you basically get to equip this card to that Magister monster. While this card is equipped to a monster, you can add 1 Magister monster from your deck to your hand. You can only use each effect once per turn. Ninaru is 2 level 4 spellcasters. While this card is an equipped card, the equipped monster can make up to 2 attacks on monsters. Its own effect is you detach 1 material, target 1 level 4 or higher spellcaster monster in your graveyard and add it to your hand. So that's where you can ditch Maximus and then add Maximus back. Then we've got the one Aris, the Magistus Spell Spirit, and the one Varam and the Magistus Divinity Dragon. Now, personally, I don't like the Divinity Dragon. I don't think it offers enough. It's not a powerhouse. It's not really offering... Like, with the fact that we've got generic Synchro level 8s around that are just so much better, there's no real reason for me to go out of my way to make this. The only reason we're playing it is to equip it and then get rid of it. The Spirit spell is actually really important. So this requires a Magister monster and one Spellcaster monster. So while this card is an equipped card, the equipped monster gains 1,000 attack and defense. During the main phase, quick effect, you can target one other face-up monster on the field, equip this card to it. If this card was equipped to an opponent's monster by this effect, take control of the equipped monster. Also, it cannot activate its effects. So the idea of this is you're going to steal one of your opponent's monsters, boost it by a K, and pretty much take away one of their pieces, which is why, in my opinion, this is the second best. This is the third best for recurrence, and then this is, in my opinion, is not the best. So again, it's generic. It's one tuner, one or more non-tuner. So while this card is an equipped card, the equipped monster cannot be destroyed by your opponent's spell or trap effects. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. If this Synchro Summon card is destroyed, you can destroy all face-up cards your opponent controls. At the start of the damage step, if a monster this card is equipped to battles an opponent's monster, you can destroy that opponent's monster. So again, its equipment effect is a little bit better because it's very rare that your opponent's going to destroy this card. Like, you have to ram it into an opponent's monster to then clear your board off. And to me, if I'm going to do that, I'm probably going to play Zeus instead. So moving on to the generic cards that we do just play around with, I'll go through, I'll leave the Dogmatika engine for last. So for the Synchros, we've got the one Savage and the one Omega. Now, Omega is there purely for the fact that it instigates both engines. So it is an option to be sent off of Dogmatikas and then lets me recycle my Artemises and other cards. And as I mentioned, in this particular build, it's important to recycle. And then Savage is the best generic level 8 Synchro Negator. Then, of course, we've got the Toad Shark. This combo is insane. I love this. Just Crowler and Mighty Master of Endymion, or the Endymion Master, makes Shark. Shark makes Toad. So from one card, you've made Shark. From another card, if you're able to add on top of that, or another 2 cards with the special summon, and get Zoro down, you're able to add a Savage. And it just is so much better. And because we've got decent XYZ, so we've got an 1800, but we've got a 26 there and a 22 there. If they are able to survive the battle, and this is just to give you a boss monster. Like I said, this deck lacks a controlling boss monster that's going to cause your opponent big issues. So we do play the one Divine Arsenal Zeus. Now, of course, like I said, if you don't have a Zeus, that's fine. I'll show you my other options in a second. If you do have a Zeus, I highly recommend putting it in. Another card that I was considering putting in as well, purely for the recyclability, was Daigusto Emerald. But again, this is just the aggression play that if I go Shark Toad to protect me from Nibiru or any effects, I can attack with Shark and put this on top of Shark. And straight away, like, I've got Toad to protect my Zeus, and Zeus is going to clear the board. And it's just for that, like, preempting, if my opponent gets a boss monster that my Philidius can't beat over, or that my Zeus can't beat over, at least I've got the Zeus effect to just send it and clear it off. At that point, when you put Zeus on the board, you've just got to be a little bit more clever, and you've got to hold back your resources so that you use Zeus, clear, and then once Zeus can no longer be used, that's when you use it as link material, or you use it as fodder to climb higher should you need to. And then, of course, for the Dogmatika engine, this is all pretty staple. So, again, I've had to keep this as a base minimum. So, I've gone with one Apocalone, one Titaniclad, one Winder, and one Inst. Now, Inst is only going to be sent off of Maximus for aggression, Nadir for aggression, and then, of course, off of punishment. Apocalone is the Shadol card that you send off of Nadir first, and it's also the card that you send off of Maximus, if you don't already get to it, and this gets you into your Schism. Titaniclad gets you the Philadius, or gets you an Ecclesia in the end phase. So part of the combos, you get Ecclesia in the end phase, that will then give you another monster on board, or another body on board, and then gives you Philadius. And then, of course, Titaniclad is then in the graveyard as the dart fodder for the Apocalone, and then you're going to go into your window. Now, again, this is a defensive lineup, which is why you don't see a construct, because I've tried to keep it as tight as I possibly can in the extra deck. And that's the one big... Not like, I wouldn't say it's a massive downside, but it's definitely a, not handicap, but it's definitely a deterrent in the sense that you to sacrifice, you have to kind of minimise all your engines. Now, like I said, that was only a 14 card extra deck. The 15th card can be Construct, but it can also be some of these cards I'm going to show you as well. So it can be Cross Sheep. A lot of people forget that Cross Sheep's effect actually triggers to what it points to. Now, you've got to keep in mind that during your opponent's turn, you could have this pointing at an XYZ or a Synchro, and then you make Window, which will then trigger the effect. So you get to bring back a card, and because it's pointing to a Synchro or an XYZ, you're either going to boost all your monsters by 700, or reduce all of your opponents by 700. So that's why Cross Sheep's a good option. Scarlet Red Dragon Archery is just a personal tech of mine. Any deck that can make rank level 8s, I always like, considering Scarlight, just because it's like some of those times where it's like if time gets called or anything like that, the fact that this deck can actually pump out quite a lot of special summon monsters, to be able to make Scarlight and just go nuke the board, burn, is always a good option. Digosto Emerald, because I told you the recyclability is what you want to aim for, and then of course your El Shaddai Construct, again to be aggressive. So if I was to pick any one of these to go into the deck right now, I would probably pick Crosheap myself, but all of these are very, very good and viable options. Other options that do not involve the Mech Knight engine, and then I'll show you the one with the Mech Knight engine, is of course going to be Access Code and Selene. In this particular build, I'm not getting enough Link monsters out, which is why I don't put these in here. But the idea behind this is Selene can actually bring back any of your spellcasters. Their effects will then trigger. You extend a little bit further, you go into Access Code. Access Code is going to be buffed by 3k. He's only going to get one pop in the form of Selene or Artemis, but you should be able to win the game from that point on. And now, if you were to use the Mech Knight engine, you can now play Boral Sword, Appaloosa, Mech Knight Crusadia Avramax, IP Masquerena, your Lib, the World Chalice Keyblade, and of course the one Mech Knight Morningstar. Now the reason you unlock all of these options is because you go for more power plays. You're able to swarm the board a lot more quicker, a lot more consistently, and Sword gives you a game winner. Sword becomes your boss monster, Avramax becomes your stall monster, Appaloosa becomes your first turn defensive monster, IP Masquerena becomes a defensive monster as well, and then you've got Lib and Mech Knight. Now obviously throughout the combo, the idea would be that you would get into the Mech Knight or the Lib, whichever one you want to go for. That will then get you your World Legacy trap. You can then make an IP Masquerena, which means during your opponent's turn, you're going IP Mech into either Mech Knight, Avramax, or Appaloosa, and you're backing it up with the Mech Knight trap, which is going to be able to turn off some of your opponent's effects. So that's kind of the root behind that explanation. I'll quickly show you again the Mech Knight lineup, and you would take out pretty much all of the Crusadia lineup, and you'd probably reduce the Majesty Master as well. But you'd be looking at something like triple purple, double blue, single red, single indigo. Now these can be bumped up if you want. You'd then be looking at triple Gearsu, the one World Legacy Secrets and the one World Legacy Succession. Again, both of these can come off the Lib if you go the Lib route, or they can come off of the Morningstar if you go that route as well. Now again, the idea of this is a normal summon of Gearsu. So Gearsu backed up with the Tri-Magistus and Madame Veer, or vice versa. The idea is you'd normal summon Gearsu. Gearsu would do all of the link climb stuff. So that would be the Morningstar to get you into the trap, or the Lib to get you into the Succession or the trap. Then you would make your Magister plays, which of course could be the Mighty Master or the Endymion Master, and then the Endymion Master can then, from that point on, produce you a rank 4, or it can produce you a Shark Toad, and off the back of that you've already got the Lib, and if you wanted to use any of the materials as link climb fodder, you could do. Lib would then send the token, or you'd then make IP Masquerena, and that's where you can kind of adapt your strategy to be more aggressive with main deck monsters or more defensive with main deck monsters in the form of the Dogmatikas. And it also depends on what you have access to. If you have access to the Dogmatikas, great. If you don't, then Mech Knights is a very, very close option, or so is Shaddolls. Now I'm just going to zoom this out a little bit, and I'm going to show you a couple of combos. Now, the combos are like 1s and 2-card combos. They're very, very straightforward. I'm not even going to really touch on what the Dogmatikas do, because in a sense the only combo that affects that is you just add souls to hand. And by adding souls to hand, the idea is that you would send the Maximus, and then as long as you have the ability to make the rank 4, which is literally going to be... So to make the Maximus play, it's literally this. Because then what you'd do is you'd normal summon this would get your Artemis, you'd search this out, you would use this to send... this can then send cards to let you draw if you want to, and then you would send souls from the field to go to Crowley, and then this would make you the Ninaru. Ninaru would then bring back the Maximus that you sent. At this point you would have already equipped the Artemis to this card. Artemis would be in the graveyard, you'd banish the Artemis, bring back the Maximus, and then you'd do your plays from there. You can also see in pretty much this exact example as well, with just the Mighty Master and a Spellcaster to get rid of, you're going to end on the same board as well. This can get you your Shark Toad play on top of that. So I'm going to just quickly put the Magisters out and show you what you can kind of do in a full play out mode, basically. So let's start with, of course, your Endymion, the Majestic Master, and any Spellcaster. We're going to use Magician's Souls for this one here. So you'd normal summon your master. Master's effect would then target himself to equip a monster. Now, obviously, you're going to equip your Artemis, and then you're going to be able to trigger Artemis's effect. Artemis's effect will add a spellcaster or a magister monster, and of course you're going to go with Crowley because it's the only one that can special summon itself or get itself to the board. Then from this point, obviously what you'd do is you could use Endymion Master's effect to send the Artemis because it's pretty much done its job and give you a draw of a random card. So this could be the spellcaster, anything like that. You then use Crowley to send the Magician's Soul or the random spellcaster and hit the board. Now from this point on, you've got your options to make your rank 4 plays, or you're going to be making you're going to make your Ninaru plays, or the best thing you do is you're going to use the effect of Crowley to make him water, to then overlay these to go Shark and then Toad. Now that's probably like your best defensive lineup just from that card placement. And then keep in mind, because you've recurred the card you've discarded, you still have 4 more cards to play around with. So if any of those cards was like a Tri-Magister, or if it was a Zoro Magister, or if it was a Madame Veer, you're then going to be able to extend your board that bit further. Now the next combo is going to be the Synchro combo. This one is specifically requires Zoro plus any kind of any additional spellcast or additional summon. So obviously your additional summon is going to be your Crowley. But again, the idea is you're going to be able to search this out. So as long as you've got another spellcaster to get rid of, this is pretty much going to be your Synchro play. So the Synchro play from here is you'd normal summon your Zoro. You'd use Zoro's effect to equip with Artemis. Artemis's effect would go off to add you your Crowley. Crowley will then send the Madame Veer or spellcaster, hit the board, and then you would tune these two together. Put in Artemis in the graveyard. Make your Savage. Savage will then equip the Artemis back and give the Savage a 1 negate. So now for the final combo. I've shown you the 1-card Synchro combo. I've shown you the 1-card XYZ combo, or like 1.5. Now what we're going to do, and again this is very consistent to do once you get to these pieces, is I'm going to show you the combo that gets you into both a Synchro negate and an XYZ negate. So basically all you need to do is you add to your hand the Tri-Magistus, and then you add to your hand your Crowley. Now the Tri-Magistus can easily be the Veer, because the Veer will then replace the ability of the Tri-Magistus. She'll search this out, and then you use the effect of this to send it to the graveyard to special summon the rest of the pieces from your hand. So the idea and the play on this one is, whether you use your normal summon or anything like that, so we're just going to use the Madame Veer as our random spellcaster that's going to be discarded later on. So from this point on, what you do is you go normal summon your Mighty Master, use the effect of himself to equip him with an Artemis. There we go. Artemis effect gets you Crowler. And then you're going to use Tri-Magistus. Tri-Magistus' effect is going to let you bring down Zoro. Then from this point on, what you need to do is you need to bring down the Crowley. Now, of course, you can use the effect of Mighty Master to send the Artemis, and that will get you the draw. You could use the effect of Tri-Magistus to special summon it down. It really doesn't matter. But the idea is, again, you want to make sure you're sending a spellcaster with one in the hand or on the field, depends on where you're at, to bring down the Crowley. Then from this point, you make Crowley a water, you detach, or you overlay, sorry, go into Shark, detach for your Toad. And then what you need to do is you need to use Zoro's effect to equip him with any of your Magister monsters, which will trigger his effect to bring Crowley back from the graveyard. And then what you'll do is you'll sync these two together, and that will get you a Savage, and then Savage will re-equip the Artemis from the graveyard, giving him 1 negate. Sorry for the glare, guys. Try and move him over that way. There you go. So then if the rest of your hand is anything like Mech Knight plays, or if it's a Dogmatika plays, you can pretty much go ham from that point on, and you're adding a Winder to this board, basically, plus an Ecclesia, a Maximus, and a Philidius. So you've got a lot more to play around with. Anyway, I hope you like this. I hope it's given you a couple of ideas. Like I said, shout out to Sean for the Mech Knight idea. He was the one that was kind of said, yeah, I've been testing that. I was like, oh, that makes sense. Like, I kind of see what they're doing. I see how they work together. I can see the synergy. So, yeah, go for it. But yeah, I really, really liked it. I think it's something fun. It still needs more support, and I still think there's going to be more support on the horizon. So it's definitely something to keep your eyes out on. And it's definitely going to be something to kind of see where it kind of goes from here. I'm really excited about it. I love all spellcaster type archetypes, so you never know. Hopefully we'll get a little bit more spice as it goes along. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, smash the like button, get this up to at least 50 likes, and it will of course unlock the next part, which of course is going to be these right here, the evil twins, or live twins, as they are more commonly known as well. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, guys, as absolutely always, stay safe and happy dueling.